In the span of a week, Democrats have gone from the despair.
Kamala Harris loses it after Jon Steward destroyed her. On the latest edition of The Daily Show, Jon Steward has taken the political world by storm, leaving Vice President Kamala Harris in a risky spotlight, with President Joe Biden stepping down from his re-election campaign and Harris stepping into the role of presumptive Democratic candidate. Stewart wasted no time in dissecting the shifting dynamic. During his first episode since these seismic changes, Stewart played a series of clips showcasing mixed reactions. In the span of a week, Democrats have gone from the despair of a certain Trump presidency
to the joy of a statistical tie.
The moment Biden stepped down, Harris's campaign surged with energy and excitement. Pundits marveled at the tsunami of grassroots support she received, with contributions pouring in from all corners of the country. Harris managed to raise an astonishing $200 million, setting a new record in the digital age. But it wasn't just about the money. Harris's appeal ignited a movement with over 100,000 white women rallying behind her, ready to back her every step of the way. Jon Stewart paused for a moment, letting the weight of these statistics sink in, and then said this:
100,000 white women.
A 100,000 white women. That is a giant group of white women. I believe the scientific term is actually a goop of women. That is called a goop of women. $200 million. They've raised a united, enthusiastic Democratic Party. A huge reversal in 1 week, and they said it couldn't be done. The pundits, with their years of experience and deep understanding of political trends, were confident in their assessments. Yet the outcome proved them wrong, demonstrating that in politics, certainty is often an illusion. The pundits all said it couldn't happen, but it did happen, and the Republicans are not very happy about it. Voices from across the political spectrum were heard exclaiming, "They just steamrolled democracy," and accusing the Democrats of trying to hijack democracy. Some went as far as to call it the ultimate election interference and a coup inside the Democratic Party. One commentator even described it as a bloodless coup, highlighting the dramatic nature of the situation. If I thought I had this thing in the bag and I was going up against old Joe Biden and then they pulled this, I'd be like, ref, open your eyes. How can you not see they're cooing? They're cooing. In a surprising twist, Jon Stewart turned his attention to the Republicans, offering them some unsolicited advice. With his trademark wit, Stewart suggested they consider replacing Donald Trump, whom he playfully referred to as the old guy. His point? To level the playing field and make it a fair game. But you know what? I do understand that they're upset. It makes sense. So how about we do this out of fairness? I'm a fair person. You can replace your old guy too. Republicans are not only concerned about coup conspiracies, but also about Trump's reaction to Harris's presidential campaign, which Stewart described as the most Trump-like approach. When Biden dropped out of the competition, Trump used Truth Social to suggest that the GOP should be reimbursed for fraud for their efforts and resources against Biden. On his Truth Social account, he wrote, "So we are forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud and that everybody around Joe, including his doctors and the fake news media, knew he was not capable of running for or being president? Just asking." Jon Stewart couldn't resist the opportunity to comment on Trump's reaction. With his signature wit, Stewart mimicked Trump's voice, exaggerating his mannerisms and tone to comedic effect, and advised him, "Well, what's done is done. You're gonna have to shift gears, recalibrate. You've had Crooked Joe and Sleepy Joe on speed dial. You're gonna need a new line of attack." Jon Stewart continued his segment by playing a video clip of Donald Trump, where he made a bold claim about Kamala Harris and her feelings towards Jewish people, saying that she does not like Jewish people. Stewart, known for tackling controversial topics with humor, responded with his usual wit. He joked about the complex dynamics within the Jewish community, noting that it's not as it was during the peak of Jewish representation in shows like Seinfeld. Commenting on Trump's claim, he said, "Of course that attack might ring hollow, seeing as Kamala Harris's husband is, let me check my notes, Jewish. Do you have anything else that could denigrate all of Kamala Harris's accomplishments by suggesting it's merely the power of the Jezebel?" Jon Stewart continued to dissect the political landscape by showing a montage of accusations from right-wing pundits, suggesting that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. This compilation highlighted the persistent and unfounded criticisms aimed at Harris's rise in politics. He commented on these accusations, "I don't know, guys, you're being awfully subtle here. Isn't there a grosser way you can say that?" Jon Stewart took the criticism to another level by playing the now infamous clip of right-wing podcaster Alex Lace referring to Kamala Harris as the original Hawk Tuah girl. In response, Stewart couldn't hide his disdain. He remarked, "That's what I'm talking talking about, emphasizing his frustration with such shallow and misguided criticisms. Stewart didn't stop there. He took a playful jab at Lace. That's the kind of substantive and elevated take from a guy who looks like he's one Mike's Hard Lemonade away from getting in a fight at his sister's wedding. Jon Stewart further critiqued the baseless accusations against Kamala Harris by pointing out the inherent sexism in such claims. He remarked, "So sexist," saying Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. Joe Biden and Donald Trump literally slept their way to the top, and we never heard a peep about it. To emphasize his point, Stewart showed images of both Trump and Biden looking visibly sleepy at public events. Jon Stewart didn't hold back as he mocked the recent flip-flopping on Fox News regarding Kamala Harris's approach to crime. He pointed out the inconsistency in the network's criticism, where Harris was simultaneously portrayed as being too tough on crime and in other instances too lenient. She is too soft on crime, she is too tough on crime. People, we open in 3 months, we are flailing, dig deep. Jon Stewart also addressed the criticisms surrounding Kamala Harris's high staff turnover, which some have attributed to her being a terrible boss. The comments suggested that everyone who worked for her left due to her aggressive, angry, and bullying behavior, painting a picture of Harris as a difficult person to work with. Stewart reacted to these comments with a mix of disbelief and sarcasm. He questioned the validity of such claims, highlighting how they often overlook the complexity of working in high-pressure political environments. He again took shots at Donald Trump. He commented, "Your candidate's Donald Trump. His catchphrase is literally, 'You're fired.' Donald Trump hired 44 cabinet members. 75% of them want nothing to do with the guy. His Secretary of State called him a fucking moron. His Chief of Staff said he's the most flawed person I've ever met. You know why he needs a new vice presidential running mate? He tried to get the last one killed." Using his usual sense of humor, Stewart made fun of Trump's habit of coming up with memorable and sometimes insulting nicknames for his political rivals. Stewart pointed out the ridiculousness of the situation and injected some humor into the criticism by recommending that Trump use one of his well-known nicknames to handle the issue himself. Laughin' Kamala, laughin' apostrophe, laughin'. So now we have a new victim to defeat, line Kamala Harris, line LYIN apostrophe. Jon Stewart tackled criticisms claiming Kamala Harris was chosen purely as a diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI hire. Critics argued that Harris was selected to fulfill DEI quotas, labeling her a DEI hire who would be the queen of DEI if elected. Jon Stewart saved the most controversial criticisms for last, focusing on attacks about Kamala Harris's racial background. He highlighted a Newsmax pundit who complained about Harris being half Jamaican, half Indian, and married to a Jewish man. Another Newsmax pundit was also shown saying, "This is how desperate they are. Is she black? Is she Indian? Nobody knows," Stewart said in a mocking, pearl-clutching impression of them. "Two races? In one person? Now I've seen everything. I heard she sent her DNA to 23andMe and it broke the computer." Stewart later joked that if these people ever saw a Pizza Hut/Taco Bell, they'd lose their minds. As Jon Stewart concluded his critique of Kamala Harris, he highlighted the absurdity of the criticisms with his signature humor. His sharp wit exposed how the attacks on her campaign, racial background, or supposed failures often missed the point. By mocking the inconsistencies and exaggerated reactions, Stewart reminded us to look past the sensationalism and focus on the real issues in politics. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, give a huge thumbs up and subscribe for more content.